Taming the High Cost of College, Episode 34.
You have kids, they grow up, and before you know it, it's time to plan for college.
Where do you start?
How much is it going to cost?
Will you qualify for financial aid?
Should you be looking into scholarships?
When will you be able to retire?
What about student loans?
The list of questions is never ending. The good news is, all the answers are right here. Welcome to the Taming the High Cost of College podcast. Here is your host, certified financial planner, Brad Baldridge.
Hello, welcome to Taming the High Cost of College. I'm your host, Brad Baldridge. Today we have a great interview with Eva Baker. She is a blogger and she has a blog at Teens Got Sense. I think it's a great blog, especially for your teenagers to be plugging into and just seeing what other teenagers are doing. Obviously, she's producing and writing things and putting them out there on the internet in the form of a blog. And she started to build a following, and she's actually building a business out of Teens Got Sense. So that might be a model that might work for some of your kids out there, where maybe they could start some sort of small business. It could be blogging, could be many other things. But Eva's out there in the world, and she's actually, kind of forging her own way and getting involved in something that she's passionate about. So I think it's a great story, not only for parents to hear, but also for your kids to hear as well. As always, we have show notes available at tamingthehighcostofcollege.com/34, because this is episode 34. And obviously show notes for all the other episodes are available as well at tamingthehighcostofcollege.com. So you don't need to write anything down. We'll provide the links for you at that web location. All right, without any further ado, let's jump into the interview with Eva. All right, today I'm sitting down with Eva Baker. She is a blogger, and she has a blog called Teens Got Sense. Welcome, Eva.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for coming on. So, before we jump into our topics today, can you tell us a little bit about, who you are and how you came to be a blogger and a little bit of your history?
Absolutely. I'm 18 years old, and I'm a senior in high school right now, but about 2 years ago, my mom approached me because she wanted me to do a project for the rest of my high school years. I've been homeschooled all of my life, and that's something that my mom requires of her children, is to do some kind of project during high school to just develop communication skills and just life skills, just, something that we can focus on and put some time into just to kind of grow. And so she gave me some time to think about what I wanted to do. And at the time, I was a competitive rock climber. And so she really wanted me to do something about rock climbing. And I was kind of thinking that I wanted to do a website or a blog or something like that. And so Mom thought it would be a really great idea if I did a website on rock climbing. And I was really not interested in that because I was already spending so much time in the gym, 4 days a week, climbing, preparing for competitions. My life was already kind of consumed with it. I really didn't want to do more about rock climbing. And so I thought for a really long time, and I just had no idea what I wanted to do. And around this time, my parents were getting a divorce, and my mom was trying to get back on her feet financially. And she heard about Dave Ramsey and his Total Money Makeover book. And so she wanted to get that and read it. But the library only had it on audio tape. So I had to listen to it with her in the car, which really did not thrill me at the time at all. But as I listened to him, I was really intrigued. I really understood what he was saying. And it was very interested, truly. And so I started the first baby step that's in his book, the saving up for a $1,000 emergency fund. I decided, I was like, hey, I'll just go ahead and start doing that. And so that kind of sparked an interest in me. And I started, doing some research online. And, of course, there are so many great resources for adults who already are in huge financial trouble and, steps to help them get their budget under control or a plan to help them budget their money better and all of that stuff. But there was really nothing for teens specifically by a teen to, help us as young adults not get to that point in the first place. And that's when I decided to start my website.
Okay. So, and then tell us a little bit more about the website. Then if we were to go there, what would we find?
I write all about how to, just budgeting basics, how to shop smart, get the best deals, how to go to college debt-free, how to get a great part-time job, and about starting your own business as a teen.
Okay, so then you and I met at a conference, so obviously you're taking this seriously because you actually are now traveling to conferences and learning more about blogging and working in the online world. So do you consider this now your job per se?
Yes, sir. I am considering this my part-time job through high school and hopefully through college as well.
Okay. So you are not only writing, but you're also trying to figure out how to add value and earn money. So how has that been going?
It's been going really well. It's definitely been a lot of work, a lot more work than I, thought it would ever be when I first started out. But my mom helps me with my site. She handles all of the back end stuff of the blog, which is a huge help. I mean, this could not be done, just by one person, I don't think. I don't have any ads on my site right now. I do believe I will move in that direction. But before we started putting up ads, we really just wanted to build some good content for my readers, just kind of get that down pat before we started trying to, put ads up. I've also had several opportunities to travel all over the state of Florida and teach personal finance classes to teens and different groups. That's one of the ways I make money, and it's one of my favorite things to do that's, come about from the site. It's so much fun. I've learned so much educating these teens, and it's been a great experience, and I'm looking forward to doing a lot more of that in the future. I also have a corporate sponsor, local credit union, One-to-One Financial here in Florida, took notice of me and called me, and now we have a really great working relationship where I write about credit unions and the benefits of credit unions on my site. I've been on TV with them before. I go to some of their different events and sometimes speak and things like that. And that's another way that's probably my biggest point of income right now. And that has been an amazing experience. They are great people, and I'm really blessed to be able to work with them.
Okay. So how do you see this fitting into your college plans as far as, will you continue to do it? Is it better than going to work at McDonald's and those kinds of things?
I definitely do hope to continue. The opportunities that I've been getting with the teaching of the classes, I've had several other speaking opportunities. I've been invited to be on my local morning news show several times, and these opportunities just keep coming up, and that's really exciting to me, and so much more than I ever thought it could be when I first started. And I do hope to continue doing this, and would much rather be doing this than working at McDonald's.
So can you share a little bit? I mean, are you earning as what a typical teen earns or more relative to a job at McDonald's?
Probably, I don't know, maybe a little bit less, because, I'm not teaching classes all the time. I don't have speaking engagements all the time. But right now I'm probably making about $500 a month, which is definitely right now covering the cost of the site.
Wow.
And a little extra. So, but this is something that's definitely growing.
Right. So if you can continue to grow it, I mean, that's a pretty good part-time income. I mean, I work with a lot of families, and it's unusual for me to hear about a student that's in high school earning more than $2,000 or $3,000. So I think you're doing well, and I think a lot of our listeners will think you're doing well.
Thank you.
So, and I know part of what you've done is you've actually talked with other teens that are out and about trying to earn some additional funds. So what are some other unique ideas that perhaps you've learned about as far as ways that students can earn additional money for college or other expenses?
I mean, that can be in so many different ways. A teen just needs to sit down and think about what they like to do, think about what their passions are. And chances are that can pretty much be turned into a business. I have a friend who I wrote about on my site. She's an excellent photographer, and she has turned that into a full-time business for herself, taking pictures. People hire her all the time to do family portraits. I've seen her doing weddings, senior portraits, all of that. A more unique situation, I have a friend who lives up in North Carolina, and he loves the outdoors. He loves hiking and canoeing through the mountains, and well, I guess you don't canoe through mountains, but you know what I mean, and all of everything to do with outdoors. And so he started a business where he takes kind of younger teens, and he packs food and snacks, and he takes them all to a hiking trail and, takes them hiking and shows them cool things about the outdoors. And I mean, it's turning something that he loves, something that he has a passion for, and turned it into a business right there. That's brilliant. And I think that's going really well for him. So I think it's just, you can just sit down and think, if you really love art and if you're a great artist, well, do like a little summer camp and invite kids into your house and get some little easels and, teach them how to paint or how to draw or, something like that. I mean, anything can turn into something really productive.
Right. Great ideas there. All right. So tell us a little bit more about what your college plans are. You said you're 18 and a senior, so I'm sure you're working on it. What schools are you thinking about? What course levels, what majors, all that kind of stuff?
Right now, my plan is to stay at home and go to my local community college. I do have the goal of going to college debt-free. Both of those options fit best into that plan. I am hoping to get into the respiratory therapy program at my college. It's a 2-year program, and that's the plan as of right now.
Okay. So as you're working on it, if you're assuming that we have a lot of parents listening, what do you think parents need to do to maybe encourage their kids to take a little more ownership of the earning money for college and choosing college and all that kind of stuff?
I think the most important thing is that parents start with their children when they are young. My parents started teaching me about finances when I was 5 years old, started with the envelope system. And, I think I had 3 different envelopes. I had one for spending, I had one for saving, and I had one for giving to our church. And, at 5, I think I got like $3, something like that. But as I got older, I was given more allowance, and I, built up to more envelopes. When I was about 13, my parents gave me the responsibility of purchasing all of my own clothes, and they increased my allowance quite a bit so that this was possible. But that was a huge responsibility for me, and, something that I really appreciated that my parents did for me at that time, because it just taught me so much about saving and budgeting and, how much things really cost, and being able to look at the money I have and look at the things that I needed, and then be able to come up with a plan to go to the store and in the best way, saving the most money possible, get those things. It was hard at first when I was 13. My parents, deposited like $75 into my account. They set up a checking account for me, so I had my own debit card, and I'm pretty sure that first time I just I bought a bunch of stuff and like Starbucks and other things like that. But then when it came time for me to buy clothes, I didn't have any money left, and I couldn't buy any of the things I needed, and I only made that mistake once. So that was so valuable to me. And I think that that's something that parents should look into, as giving their teens real responsibility, not just buying everything that they need for them, or never having a conversation about about the parents' finances and about the mistakes that they've made. This was never something that was a taboo subject in our household. Especially after my parents' divorce, my mom has always been very open with me about where we're at and how we're doing. And, she'll say, "Hey, Eva, we've got a little extra money this month. Let's go see a movie," or, we can go out to eat, or, hey, don't ask me for any money because I don't have any. And I just really appreciate that honesty and that communication, that, if mom makes a mistake, that she's willing to sit down with me and have a conversation and say, this is what happened, and this is why I made the decision that I did, and this is why it was a bad decision, so that I can learn from those mistakes and hopefully not make them myself.
Right. So I'm assuming then you and your mom and or dad have also talked about how college is going to happen and who's going to pay what?
Yes. When I was born, my grandparents purchased Florida prepaid for me. And so that was, a huge factor in deciding where I wanted to go to college, that staying here in Florida was necessary, really. And so I'm so blessed to have that. It's really a huge help.
Okay. And then did you have additional discussions about, well, what if you wanted to go to an expensive Florida school versus a low cost? Who pays how much? And did you have that discussion?
Yes, and that was definitely going to be me paying for it. But I wasn't interested in, I really didn't want to go away from home. Having the typical college experience was not living in a dorm or whatever like that was not really something that hasn't really ever appealed to me. I am perfectly happy staying at home and I am so that the extra money thing wasn't an issue.
Okay. So where do you see this blog going for you once you kind of grow into college? Are you going to continue to write on the same subjects, or?
That's the one thing we haven't really figured out yet because, I'm not going to be a teenager for much longer here. And so we haven't really we have thought about it. We've talked about it, but we're not really sure what direction we want to take. I mean, I do for sure know that I want to continue with the teaching the classes and stuff like that. I mean, that's something I can do and not be a teenager. But as far as writing on this, what we're going to write about, I think we're just going to see where it goes. I write about all of these different topics, but in the context of things that happen to me. Everything I write about is about things that happened to me in my real life and the mistakes I've made and the things I've learned and, the great deals I've gotten, and just hopes that somebody else can, take my experiences and learn from them too. And so, as I go into college, that doesn't necessarily have to change. But I think that the perspective of the site, the name and everything like that is going to have to change some. So we haven't really figured out where we want to go with that.
All right. As I work with people, I generally ask for 3 quick tips. And I'm actually going to put you on the spot, and I'm going to say, let's do 3 quick tips right now for the student. So if I'm a 16, 17, 18-year-old and starting to think about college, give us a few tips. I know you've written a lot about, for teens. So what can the teens be doing to improve their college success?
I think that the first thing you need to do is just to sit down and write out your goals, whether that's your financial goals, your goals for the future, your college goals, whatever that is. You need to sit down and write those out. I know that can be really, really hard, but I think that's the first step to planning for your future, is just to sit down and know what you want. I think the second thing is that, especially when it comes to your financial goals, is to have a plan of how to reach them. For me personally, I used the envelope system when I was 5. I still use it now. It's a cash-based system. It's worked best for me because to actually physically see the money and to physically put it into the different envelopes is extremely helpful to me and really impacts me of, okay, this is real money and this is going specifically towards this one thing, not just, changing it around in bank accounts and stuff like that. So, I don't think the envelope system is obviously the only option, but that's what's best for me. But you need to find some kind of budgeting system like that works best for you. Another thing that I think is really important is that you start saving for retirement now. Even like 14, 15-year-olds, if you can only put $5 into your retirement fund every week, well, by the time you retire, that's going to be a lot of money. I think that's really important.
Great. So you just piqued my interest a little bit. So you are saving for retirement? You've just
Yes.
implied? Okay. How are you saving for retirement? Are you putting it in a particular type of account or investment or?
I'm using my envelope system, and when I fill my envelopes up to a certain amount of money, then I do go put it into the bank. But no, all of my budgeting and all of my saving goes through my envelopes.
Okay. So then once you move it to the bank or wherever, are you investing it in some sort of investment at this point? Are you?
Not yet, no.
Okay. Because that's a strategy that I use quite a lot with families, in that students that have earnings, they can put money into a Roth IRA.
Mm-hmm.
And that does not count when you figure out financial aid, any sort of retirement plan. So if you put it into a formal retirement plan, whether a SEP, a simple, a Roth IRA, a traditional IRA, all those types of plans do not count as an asset if it's in the student's name, and they do not count as an asset if it's in the parent's name for most financial aid situations. So it's a great way to save.
Yeah, for sure.
And also shelter money from the financial aid system, because anything that's for retirement generally is not considered for college.
Yeah, I definitely need to look into that.
Yeah. So, all right. Now, what about parents? Do you have any thoughts as far as what might help parents? Can you give us 3 more tips that for parents to, maybe they've not gone down this road? It sounds like your parents made some very conscious decisions and set you on your path. What about parents that say, well, that's a good idea, but I really haven't really done much in that neighborhood yet? What do you think there?
I definitely, to those parents specifically, I would definitely say it's not too late to start. Don't just because you didn't start teaching your child about finance when you were 5 or when they were 5, think that it's too late now. That's definitely not the case. Another thing that I've really learned through this journey is that a lot of adults think, oh, my kids don't care about this. Teenagers don't care about money. They don't care about their financial future or saving for retirement. And in my experience, and all of the teenagers I've interacted with, I've really found the majority of it to not be true. That we are interested and we are concerned about, we hear stories about people who have thousands and thousands of dollars in student loan debt. And that concerns us. And we do want to know how to avoid those problems. So I think that, if parents can just have a more open mind, about their teenagers and about their kids, thinking, and even if they're not interested, just looking at it as something, this is something that they need to know before they go out into the real world and make these mistakes, and no one having told them, what to do in those situations. I also think it's just important that parents give their teenagers real responsibility when it comes to finances, whether that's allowing them to purchase their own clothes or, for years now, I go to my grandma's house and I help her clean her house, and she, pays me a little money to do that for her. And, that's real. That's not just, saying, oh, here's $25 so you can go shopping or do something fun with your friends. That's money that I've earned that then I can look at and decide, what I want to do with.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I really appreciate all the input. I think our listeners have learned a lot. If people want to learn more about you and your blog, where would they go?
Well, my website is teenscottsense.com. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Pinterest, Twitter, Instagram. So pretty much all of the social media things. Come and follow me. Great.
And we'll put links to all that in the show notes for people so you can read there. Now, are a lot of your readers teens, adults, or both?
It's really about half and half.
Okay. Well, great. So then there's things there for everybody.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I appreciate you spending some time with us, and we will talk again soon, I'm sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Taming the High Cost of College podcast. Now it's time for you to take action. Head to tamingthehighcostofcollege.com for show notes, bonus content, and to leave feedback for Brad. The next step on your college journey starts now.
Brad Baldridge is a registered representative of Cambridge Investment Research and an investment advisor representative of Cambridge Investment Research Advisors, a registered investment advisor. Securities are offered through Cambridge Investment Research Incorporated, a broker-dealer and member of FINRA and SIPC. Brad owns 2 companies, Baldridge Wealth Management and Baldridge College Solutions. The Baldridge companies are not affiliated with Cambridge Investment Research.